Welcome to the Raw podcast, a well-being podcast that will inspire you to create a life that you absolutely love. Here at Raw, we care deeply about people's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. You know, too many of us walk the tightrope between pressure to perform and fighting fatigue from not prioritizing our well-being. We literally work through burnout and sacrifice our work-life balance to get ahead in our careers. But there is another way, and it starts with you. I am your host, Marilise de Villiers-Basson, and before we dive in, you may have noticed that it's been a while since we have released a Raw podcast. Well, we've had a few big life changes happening in 2023. We moved countries back to South Africa after 18 years in the UK, so back to our roaring roots. Heine, my amazing husband, and I, build our dream home, and we also settled our boys into their new schools here in South Africa. And I'll share more about this journey in the coming months. But for now, I am absolutely delighted to be back interviewing some incredible people that have a powerful, courageous, and purposeful message to share. I could not think of anyone better than John Roussot, a colleague and friend, to kick us off in 2024. John Roussot is the founder and CEO, that is the Chief Excellence Officer of Fit for Growth, a renowned business coaching and online training platform that helps individuals and organizations unlock their full potential. He has more than 22 years of experience in coaching, mentoring, and guiding people towards personal and professional success, establishing himself as a multi-award-winning business coach and leadership development trainer. Passionate about empowering others, John has worked with individuals and teams and businesses in 33 countries. He synthesizes global best practices in easy to understand frameworks, strategies, and tools to help people achieve lasting, holistic success in their personal and professional lives. John, welcome. Welcome to the Raw podcast.
Thank you, Marilise. So good to be here with you and excited for today's discussion.
Yes, me too. We are literally kicking off 2024, and I could not think of anybody better than you to kick it off with. Because here at Raw, we really care deeply about the well-being of people. Spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental well-being. And I know this is a mission that's very close to your heart. We also know here at Raw that adversity is part of everybody's story, and we love to share stories, of people who have, overcome adversity, who are really courageous. People like you, John, who, turned that adversity into a very powerful, mission-driven message. So really, really, really delighted to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Marilise. Thank you. Yes, absolutely passionate about what I call MEPS well-being, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being, and just recognizing that if we get those elements in our life right, we thrive personally, we're able to then thrive professionally as well. So two key themes in all I teach and in all I write about as well, around personal mastery and professional excellence, and that all starts with what happens with your MEPS well-being. So excited to dive into those topics with you today.
Amazing. And I want to go straight into your personal story, because I know that
Sure.
your purpose is to help people liberate their greatness. And so
Yes.
please tell us why that is so important to you.
Marilise, thanks. I think I've always been super passionate about what drives people, what motivates people. From a young age, I did a lot of my own personal development, and really just went on this journey of discovering how can I be part of helping people unlock something inside of them. How can I be a catalyst that helps them go to their next level? And, that started off in my school days, my university days, and I started my corporate career. And a few years into my corporate career, I unfortunately lost my dad to suicide, which was a life shattering moment in my own life and for my whole family, and indeed for the community that my mum and dad were living in. 2,000 people at my dad's funeral, just as an indication of the love and support and devastation that people were feeling for having lost such an incredible man. He served the community as an entrepreneur, as a philanthropist, just gave everything he had to give, but burnt out. He was overweight. He was not sleeping well. He was working really, really hard. So he had lost his mental capacity and took the action that he did, thinking that that was a better solution for everybody around him. But in the reality is anybody would have jumped in to help him had he just asked, and I think he just didn't have the skills, he didn't have the knowledge that we now have around the importance of mental health, physical health, emotional health, and spiritual health. And a man of faith, a man of love, but had lost hope and went to the grave with greatness inside of him. 6 months later, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And at the time, cancer was something that somebody over there had. It wasn't that close to home where it was now in my family. And I asked the doctor, I said, stage 4 out of? And he said, out of 4. She's got 3 months. And she fought bravely for 2 years, chemo, radiation, tiny, petite little woman with the most amazing, huge amounts of courage. And I learned so much from her during that time on what it means to fight for something that's worth fighting for, and to have joy through all situations, and how to overcome adversity. And so I lost her 2.5 years essentially after Dad passed away. So within 2.5 years, I lost both my parents in my sort of late 20s, and had to try and figure out how do you overcome that sort of adversity? How do you find purpose in those situations? And a lot of my pain has led to my purpose of liberating greatness for others. Dad went to the grave with greatness inside of him. Mom was the most amazing cook. She should have had recipe books all over the world. She should have been world famous for her cooking. And she went to the grave with greatness inside of her as well. So my purpose of liberating greatness is not on my watch. I don't want anybody to go to the grave with greatness inside of them on my watch. I want to be able to inspire, encourage, uplift. I want to be a catalyst to help people unlock whatever it is inside of them that they have to give to the world, not just for their own benefit that they liberate greatness, but because their greatness is a gift that they get to give to the world. And I often think that purpose comes from the strangest places. We can find purpose in our most painful moments, when we overcome obstacles, when we find a way to work through adversity. That gives us a fire in our bellies that is very, very difficult to put out. Just my story in a nutshell, but just really where the whole concept of liberating greatness came from.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I think the story of your dad is so prevalent even in today's society, where you see people, really desperately unhealthy, desperately unhappy, but not actually asking for help, carrying that burden inside of them, and, getting to a point where they, I'm sort of a little bit struck because I lost one of my best friends last year. He was 45, and
Yeah.
he ended up in hospital with organ failure, which was a culmination of medication, unhealthy diet. It was accidental, it wasn't he wanted to die, but it was really, really coming back to the mental well-being. I think mostly, was really struggling alone and not asking for help. So for me, the ask for help is the thing that's coming through really strongly, in terms of actually, don't carry your pain alone. Ask for help.
Absolutely, and I think people don't realize how important that is for their own support, is to put up your hand and ask for help, but also what that does for other people. If I called you, Marlies, and I said, Marlies, I'm battling with this, I need some help, it sends a dopamine hit to your brain to say that you're valuable. So you benefit by me asking for help because you're saying, John needs me and I can help. I'm valuable. I can help. So both of us benefit because I now have an expert that's able to help me in a way that I can't help myself. You benefit because you get that dopamine hit and you're adding value to my life. We both win. Where we think we're putting a burden onto other people by asking for help, actually, it's helpful for both of us. So massive lessons learned. I think in my dad's situation, literally 2,000 people would have jumped in to help had he put his hand up, and it would have been a
Yes.
case of, what do you need? Do you need financial support? Do you need time off? Do you need somebody to step into the business so you can go on a vacation? What do you need? We'll help. We'll do whatever is required. And he never gave them that opportunity. So I think it's a lesson that I've had to learn because, as a man, as a provider, we have this ingrained belief that we have to be strong enough to suck it up and deliver whatever we need to deliver. But actually, vulnerability comes from a position of strength, not weakness. When we have the
Yes.
humility to be vulnerable and say, I need a bit of support. I'm struggling in this area. Can you give me some advice? Can you encourage me? Can you pray with me? Can you cry with me? Whatever is needed,
Yes.
that comes from a position of strength, not weakness. And I think it's okay
Yes.
for us to be able to reach out and get support when we need it.
Yes, yes. And I sort of have my own personal story of that where, if when I was navigating burnout, working in a toxic environment, with a toxic individual in particular, it was also that I've got to be strong. I can't show him that he had won, so I'm not going to go on sick leave because I thought at the time that's a sign of weakness. But actually
Mm.
now I help my clients realize that actually walking away, taking that time out, prioritizing your well-being, getting some
Mm.
perspective really is your way of being strong, being courageous, and stepping away from difficult situations, difficult relationships to gain some perspective and to look after
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes, yes, and that sense
Mm.
of looking after yourself, self-care is not selfish. Self-care is
Mm.
actually in the service of others. If we want to serve at higher levels, self-care is essential. I this
Mm.
morning I knew I've got our podcast today. I've got a full day worth of coaching calls. So for me to serve at higher levels, I was, on my bike this morning, generating energy, making sure I've had a good breakfast, I'm hydrating, so that I can
Yeah.
serve at my highest levels. So self-care is not selfish; it's in the service of others, and that puts us in a much better place to serve from a mental capacity, from a physical capacity as well, if we're generating that sort of vitality on a daily basis.
Absolutely love that. I love, love, love that because I'm so passionate about that as well. Right. So I'm going to transition into the book, Liberate Your Greatness, same
Yes,
title as your purpose, and how beautiful. I mean, it literally says or does what it says on the tin, which not very often with books you get that.
yes,
So I'd love to dive a little bit deeper. First of all, I think you published this book 3 months ago now, so massive
that's right.
congratulations.
Thank you, Marlies. Thank you. It was a 3-year writing project. I've been wanting to write for probably 10 years, but this particular project was a 3-year project. And my heart really, as you know, to liberate your greatness, to liberate greatness for all those around me, to liberate greatness for my family. That's really what I want to do. And I've had the privilege of working with individuals and teams around the world, 33 countries around the world, and I've tested the framework. I've seen it just be, so valuable to so many people when they apply the principles, when they embrace the principles, they put them into practice, they master the skills, they master the frameworks, they go to their next level personally and professionally. So it really was a passion project. Lovely to see it come into fruition. I just want to get it into as many hands as possible, wherever I can just hand out copies, or if people are buying copies, I'm grateful for their support. But yeah, super, super grateful to have it out in the world.
Yeah, and I love that you've done that. I know as an author myself, it's not a yeah, it is a passion project. It is a labor of love. Many
Yes,
days. You've got to dig really, really deep, especially if you write about stuff that's really, vulnerable. Dare I say, trauma, trauma
Yes.
centered stuff, so you really do a lot of soul searching in the process. So what I loved the most about my book writing project was also the person that I became in the process. And
Yes. Mm.
you know I can see that in you as well, the just the obviously the amazing John that I met a few years ago, but just how you are coming alive and even more in your mission, in your purpose. So truly, truly tremendous.
Thanks, Marlies, and thank you for that. I remember the day that I bought your book and I read your story, and I thought, wow, it's so courageous of you to put your story out there and to use that as your gift. You know, it's what we were speaking about earlier. You know, that our adversity, the obstacles we've had to overcome, the struggle is your gift. How you got through that is your gift that you get to give to other people. And you're doing
Yes.
exactly that. You're encouraging your clients, you're helping them with perspective, and you know, when you find your voice in that way, to be able to share your story authentically with courage in a way that helps others succeed at a higher level, that's a wonderful place to be. You know, so congratulations to you too on the impact that you're having with your book and your podcast and all the clients that you're serving. I really do feel grateful. I literally just got off a call with a client in Kuala Lumpur, and to see her go to her next level, and we wrapped up our coaching journey, and to see her having demonstrated so much courage and being more influential and thriving personally because she's taking care of her energy and her well-being. Just wonderful
Yes.
to get to do this work on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And so that sort of seed that we plant right at the beginning of the journey, with someone, and I know we coach a similar curriculum as high performance coaches,
Yes.
is really that true understanding, or really being able to articulate and knowing what is it that you want. I speak to so
Mm,
many people, women in particular, who spent many, many years in very successful careers. And that simple little question of what is it that you want? What is it that you truly want? People cannot answer that question. So let's explore that a little bit more, because I know that's also part of your signature framework and that sort of whole awareness piece. So I
yes.
think we should dive into the signature framework a little bit, but then also talk specifically about really knowing what you want, really knowing the person that you would love to become, because I think that would be truly helpful to our listeners today.
Amazing. So a few great concepts there that we can talk about. Clarity brings peace. So when we have clarity on who we are, how we want to serve, how we show up in the world, what we want to achieve, that brings peace. It also brings laser focused direction.
Yes.
And you know, all proactive change starts with awareness. So that's what I talk about in my book, and that's the starting point of my framework, my signature framework that you mentioned, where awareness is
Yes.
the starting point. Because if you're not aware, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is costly. When you don't know what you
Mm.
don't know, where do you start to make change happen? So if you want to make change happen, and that's not change that's happening to you because we can't control that, but if you proactively want to make change happen, you need to have awareness of where you are now and where you want to get to. You need to have self awareness, awareness of others, awareness of interdependence, how we can help each other. And really, that awareness of where you are and where you want to get to is a starting point, because now we can map out a route. Now we know what sort of journey we need to go on. And then we go into alignment from there and through the rest of the framework. When you're aligned with your purpose, your mission, your values, your goals, your objectives, then the action you take is laser focused. It all starts with awareness. So I think it's
Yes.
important. The other thing I wanted to pick up on what you said is who you become on the journey. I think sometimes
Yes.
people get this wrong. We think that if we have certain things, then like if we had money, if we had the right studio, we had the right this, or we had the right that, we could do certain things, and then we could become that person that we want to be. Where actually it's the other way around. You first have to become the person that you need to be to do the things that you need to do to have the
Yes.
experiences and the things that you want in life. So I really do encourage people to have that level of awareness. Who do you need to become? Who do you need to
Yes.
become? What would that person need to do to have the things that you want to have? And then take the right action to become that person.
Yes, absolutely. And the piece that's really truly important, I think, is the alignment piece. So I think
Mm,
if you could say a little bit more about that, because obviously, knowing what you want is one thing, and having that, consciousness, having that awareness. I think often because of our conditioning, and sort of old habit loops, and knowing that, the hard way was the way that worked, and grafting, crashing, burning, so I'm sort of leaning in more and more into there's got to be an easier way. There's got to be a way where there's more flow. And so
yes.
I feel like the alignment piece becomes really important in creating that flow, in creating that ease. So can you say a little bit more about that, please?
Yes, with pleasure. So important, Merle, is that flow, that easier way, and that's not shortcut, but a better way, a smarter way. I'm a firm believer in working smarter and harder. So not smarter, not harder, smarter and harder. I do believe in hard work and smart work. And when we're working smart and hard, we love what we're doing. We're in that flow, that sort of passion and purpose, where passion purpose collides. So I think it's a great place to be. And I've had entrepreneurial businesses. I've worked in the corporate world. When we moved from South Africa to the UK, I took on a couple corporate roles. In fact, three different corporate roles. I went from one organization to the next, and wasn't really settled because in my heart I wanted to go back into being, an entrepreneur, crafting my own path. And specifically in my last corporate role, I was misaligned. I was in an environment that was not congruent with the values that I wanted to bring to life. I wasn't doing purposeful work, and I felt like I was stuck. And that sort of misalignment, that incongruence leads to misery. When you're misaligned, you become miserable. And I realized, actually, well, what am I trying to achieve here? What do I really want? So going back to the awareness of my current reality, thinking about
Yeah.
what's the desired future reality I want. And I really defined for myself three freedoms: freedom of time, freedom of location, and financial freedom. And I said, if that's what I want to go after, then I don't need to be in a corporate environment to do that. And that really
Yeah.
helped me make the decision, obviously with my wife's support and encouragement and prayer time, to be able to step out of the corporate environment and start my business Fit for Growth, which I did in the midst of the pandemic in 2020. And it's been an incredible journey. So I think, when you speak about that flow, recognizing when you have that good awareness of your current reality, your desired future reality, and then you align that to your purpose, liberating greatness, to your mission, what you want to achieve, to your values, who you are and how you want to show up in the world, then you take the right action that allows you to be in this place of flow. Often when I coach corporate clients, if there's an absence of awareness and an absence of alignment, even though they're taking lots of action, they're busy, the results
Yeah.
aren't what they're looking for. So that alignment is critical to ensuring that people take the right action, whether that's in a personal capacity or a team, corporate environment.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so important because there's you could still have the success, the achievements, but you're
Mm,
right, you get miserable if you're not aligned. So I think it's like,
yes,
it's not always especially in a corporate environment, not always an issue of achievement. It's actually an issue of alignment. Because you obviously
absolutely.
want to create a wealth and healthier, happier, wealthier, workplace as well for people. So no, that's
Yes.
amazing. Thank you
And
so
often that
much.
achievement often that achievement comes at the cost of people's well-being and relationships,
Yeah.
and that's not, as you and I both know, that's not high performance. High performance is succeeding above standard norms consistently over the long term while
Yeah.
maintaining well-being and positive relationships. So just even having that awareness that, if things are breaking down, it doesn't matter what we're achieving. We need to be thriving personally and professionally, good communication amongst the teams. And a lot of the work that I'm doing now with corporates around my signature Liberating Greatness framework is to help teams connect more, communicate better, collaborate better, co-create the future. And that all comes through just understanding where they are, how they want to show up together, and then what action they need to take. So, yeah, powerful place to be.
Really powerful. And I want to pick up on that. So connecting, collaborating, co-creating. I
Yes.
always say people support what they create, so I think
Yes.
that is extremely powerful. And so, in the context of leadership, in the context of team working, what's your sort of like big tips for someone that has an issue around creating that team working, that high performing team? What would you say would be the advice that you would give?
The starting point, Marlies, is that business is and always will be about people dealing with people.
Yes.
So that's the first thing that I look for is the is the team, are the individuals in the team connecting? Do they really connect? Do they know details about each other's families? Do they know what everybody's passionate about, and how do you tap into their individual genius zones? So you've got to be able to connect, and are they communicating well? If there are unresolved issues, I don't care what they're achieving. They're not a high performance team. They might have high potential. There might be something inside of them, but they're dysfunctional if they can't communicate and they can't connect. They won't collaborate, and therefore they won't co-create the future. So I'm always looking out for those sorts of things. And then it's
Yeah.
a case of, if we have a high potential team that is dysfunctional, you're going to have people potentially checking out mentally, if not physically. You're going to lose great talent, and you're not going to get the results that you want to do. So the first thing that we would look to do is, how do we bring the people together? How do we create a
Yes.
safe environment for them to connect, for them to openly communicate with courage and confidence that it's a safe environment, and this isn't about the individuals or the characters, but it's about addressing issues, real issues, and having the courage to speak openly and say, we want to make it better, so let's talk it through. And once we start doing that, it's uncomfortable, but you move teams through that place of storming, the Tuckman model of teams forming, then storming, then norming and performing. You have to go through a level of storming if you want to get to norming and performing. So I'll look to bring teams together, help them connect, help them communicate, find projects or little workshops or exercises where they can collaborate, and where then they can then co-create something that is our identity or our goal or our solution. As you said, people buy into or people support what they create, and that co-creation is such a special place to see teams operating. When they do that, that accelerates their growth, that helps them achieve their goals faster, that amplifies their impact. And that's the heart of what I'm trying to help my clients achieve in terms of the transformation, is accelerating their growth, achieving their goals faster, amplifying their impact. That comes through the team performance on how we get them to connect, communicate, collaborate, and co-create.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I want to sort of pivot back to personal mastery and liberating my greatness. And I know there's something
Yes.
you are very, very passionate about, and that is mastering the fundamentals. So let's talk about
Yes.
mastering the fundamentals.
Yes, thanks, Marlies. So passionate about it. It was Bruce Lee who famously said that he fears not the man who has learned how to do 10,000 kicks. He fears the man who's learned to do one kick 10,000 times, because that man is lethal. And it's that sense of mastering something, being so passionate about it and doing over and over again, getting the reps in. And I've been fortunate enough to do various martial arts, and I have a black belt in 3 styles of karate. And at a young age, we were taught to do punch, 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 punch. As white belts, you're standing in rows, punch, 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 punch. And it seems boring until you get to black belt and you can throw 6 punches a second, and then it becomes exciting. That didn't happen overnight. Mastery doesn't happen overnight. Mastery takes time, transformation takes time, and you have to master the fundamentals. And if we think about a spirit of excellence, continual improvement, that's the heart of mastery, is recognizing you can still learn, you can still grow, you can still improve. And it's doing those, what seems routine or mundane, doing them consistently over time, mastering the fundamentals so that you can elevate to the next level and the next level and the next. So yes, absolutely passionate about the concept of mastery, giving yourself the time, the space, the grace to be able to master your skill, and continue to elevate to the next level.
Yes. And also to really know that that means I could be 1% better today than I was yesterday, and absolutely comparing yourself only to yourself. I mean, I already see in my boys, it's like I would say something which is not meant to be a comparison, but they would immediately take it and they compare it with their brother in terms of but why do you not say that about him? Or he's not like that, or da 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 da. And it's very
Yeah,
interesting because I immediately say to him, you are your own person. You know, all you do is you, and you focus on what can I do today to move the needle and to be that 1% better than what I was yesterday. You probably see this in your kids
absolutely.
as well.
Yeah, totally, totally. In my kids and clients as well, I think we overestimate what we can achieve in a day, but we underestimate what we can achieve in 90 days or 180 days or a year. And that
Yeah,
1% better, it doesn't look like you've made major progress on a particular day, but 1% every day, you're 37 times better by the end of the year. And that's how the
yeah,
compound effect works, So to just recognize what can you learn? How can you grow? What are you doing consistently on a daily basis? The small things that we do on a daily basis compound to either take us towards where we want to be, or if we're taking small actions in the wrong direction, that also compounds to take us far away from where we want to be. And I think it's
yeah,
just important to recognize every day we've got choices to make on, are we
yeah,
moving towards our goal, or are we moving away from our goal? So yeah, firm believer in 1% better every day, continual improvement. I think there's also a humility that comes with that.
yeah,
Just recognizing that even if today my way is the best way, if you say, "Hey, John, there's a better way to do things," well, then let's do it your way, because that's going to move us forward. It's better than if we stuck with the previous best way. So yeah, 1% better every day. Great philosophy.
And also, what you've just present with me is that sort of try a new way, experiment, fail fast, because
Absolutely.
failure is only feedback. It's not bad. It's actually a gift, as you often say. I've heard you say that a lot.
Yes, yes. I love that. Failure is only feedback. So good. There's so many different acronyms or ways that you can use fail as an acronym: first attempt in learning, and just
Yes,
recognizing that if you're failing fast and you're failing often and you're failing forward because you're learning and you're
yes,
embracing that moment to learn, you're actually
yes,
succeeding. So you can never fail in inverted commas unless you're not learning from the situation. So I think it's just
yes,
so powerful to fail forward and learn from whatever mistakes we're making, and to encourage the people around us. To encourage our kids to make mistakes and learn from them, fail forward. To encourage
yeah,
our clients to make mistakes and learn from them and fail forward. That's really the heart of what innovation's about. Is not getting
yes,
it right first time. It's Thomas Edison's 4,000 ways of how
yeah,
not to invent a light bulb before he invented the light bulb. We try something once, twice, three times, we give up. There he went 4,000 times before he invented the light bulb. So that sense of failing fast, failing often, and failing forward.
yeah. And perseverance in the process,
Mm,
that matters, that you don't quit, I guess.
yes,
Um,
yes,
it's also super important. So
yeah,
I'm so inspired, by this conversation, and I think the the essence, and you sort of came onto this podcast, talking about how you manage your state and how you generate energy. And so for me, I really want people to go away from today's podcast with the real sense of the fundamentals around how can they really generate energy on a day by day basis, to show up as their best selves, to pursue those big dreams and not run out of steam. So I was just going to sort of ask you to briefly share some of your tips around, I know we use meds a lot as a sort of an acronym as well, lots of
yeah.
acronyms, but it's like meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep, which are sort of,
Hmm.
take your daily meds, which is also a common, thing that we work
Yes.
with our clients. But really from your perspective, and sort of from, what you see every day in terms of what moves the needle the most for you, what would you gift our listeners in terms of takeaways, in terms of things to go try out, to go experiment with?
A couple of things, Marlies. I think the first thing is the importance of having goals, things that you're working towards. I've got a success journal that I created that I'll happily share with your listeners as a downloadable PDF if you'd like to do that, just to help them get clarity on what they want to achieve, the current reality to the desired future reality. When you've got visibility of that, and you take action every single day, it's at 1% better every day. You take action, consistent action, you'll be amazed what you can achieve in 90 days. So it's a 90-day success plan, templates for daily routines and for weekly routines to track and monitor your progress over 90 days. And some of the things that I've set as big, audacious goals to chase down, can't believe what I've been able to achieve in the 90-day time frame. Sometimes I don't achieve it in 90 days. And then I say, okay, well, what have you learned? How have you grown? How far have you moved? And then what does the next 90 days look like? And you just keep rolling it until you succeed. So that's the first thing I think is super powerful in what you do on a daily basis. And then I want to encourage everyone to make common sense common practice. And SENSE is an acronym that I've come up with where it's about sleep, exercise, nutrition, spirit, and environment. So SENSE, sleep, exercise, nutrition, spirit, and environment. Sleep is such a great foundation for us. If you're wanting to have a successful day today, that depends on what happened last night. So did you get to bed early enough so that you could have a good quality sleep, duration and quality? Because when you wake up in the morning, you'll feel more energized, you'll feel well rested, you're more likely to make good decisions when it comes to your exercise and your nutrition, hydration, all those sorts of things. Exercise, as I mentioned earlier, I was on my bike this morning. It was a quick, high intensity, 30 minutes so that I could generate energy, make sure that I'm energized for you and for all of my clients today. Then we obviously talk about nutrition. You wouldn't put dirty fuel in a Ferrari. So why are we okay with putting dirty fuel in our systems? We've got to fuel ourselves for success. So be mindful, be intentional about our nutrition and get it sort of 80, 90% right. I'm okay with people having treats every now and again. I do the same. And I want to make sure I'm getting it 80 or 90% right. Then when it comes to spirit, that's often one that people neglect or they don't think is important, but I think it's essential. It has to be part of our overall well-being is our spiritual life. So sometimes that's about faith, which it is for me, and I know it is for you as well. For some people, that might just be about their values. And again, when I spoke about misalignment or incongruence, that's a values thing as well. It's if something's not right, if you're taking action that doesn't align with your values. So just encourage people that they'll feel it in their spirit if they misalign, and they'll feel it in their spirit when they are aligned. They'll feel vitally alive in their spirit when they're aligned and doing things aligned to their values. And then environment is also important. Getting out into the environment, getting into nature, getting sunlight, natural lights, blue skies, the green lush vegetation, the blues and greens generate energy for us, as well as your environment at home, at work. What environment are you in? If you're in a toxic environment, that's going to impact your well-being. If you're in an environment that inspires you to be creative and communicate the best of who you are, that's going to change the way you deliver results. So just to encourage people to make common sense, common practice. And I think that helps take your well-being to the next level.
You've opened up so many thoughts for me, and I know we're sort of running out of time, but I did want to go into sort of one more thread. Just really about what you just said about environment, and it resonates with me so much because one of my big decisions in 2022 was, recognizing that and it was also about my relationships and my love relationships and family. When Heidi and I sort of always had this sort of shared dream of coming back to South Africa at some point and creating that incredible environment, that lovely home, etc., for us. And we have now done that. So in the last year, we have literally back to South Africa after 18 years in the UK. So it's been a long time coming. UK was amazing. We loved it. But it was that sort of like real question we asked ourselves, but what is it that we truly want? What is the life that we would love to live? And we both saw ourselves back in South Africa, close to family, lots and lots and lots of reasons for us to be here. I always say to people, the reasons that money can't buy. But it's just really interesting because what you've also presenced with me in this conversation is big dreams require big, bold moves. And,
Yes.
I literally found myself at one stage last year, in the middle of the year, just wanting to rewind everything, to take my life back to the way it was, because everything just felt so overwhelming. It felt so big. And so, like, it was like this big mountain that I didn't know if we were able to climb. And fast forward
Mm,
6 months, we're there, we've done it, but it is really about, I guess it's about staying with the mission, staying with that outcome, that goal, and,
mm,
staying on the path, but also being, I guess what I heard you also say is like having grace with yourself. If it hasn't
mm,
happened in like 90 days, do the next 90 days, do another 90 days and tweak and refine and realign, because that will
mm.
really help you just stay on that path. And ultimately, you'll be pleasantly surprised with the outcome and the result that you get.
Absolutely. And congratulations to you and your
Thank
husband and the
you.
boys for making that
Yeah.
courageous
Yes.
move and creating your dream life. It's a big, bold dream that you had, and you've brought it into fruition. And that wouldn't have come easy. I can imagine all the hard work and relationships that you set up here, friendships, and it's a massive move. So congratulations, and I'm so happy for you. It's wonderful to see
Thank
you
you so
thriving the
much.
way you are. So yes, I
Yeah.
think you're 100% right. We talk about dream goals, not just smart goals. Smart goals, I like smart goals in the sense it's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time based. I don't like the word realistic because who's to say what's realistic or not? Dream goals are more daring. They're resolute. They're
Mm.
expansive, adaptive, and motivating. And you had that big dream goal, and then to take the action to bring that to life, and then to do that on a consistent basis, to really
Mm.
go out there and recognize you can create a future that you want to create. Whenever I'm encouraging my clients around those 90-day plans and having those big goals, I'll always encourage them to go hard on the plan and easy on yourself. And that's the grace you were talking about. Go hard on the
Yes.
plan, go easy on yourself, really give it everything you've got. And when it doesn't go according to plan, don't beat yourself up about it. Sometimes we get into this, narrative, this negative narrative that sends us down a spiral. Where actually, if you're going easy on yourself and saying, okay, what can I learn from this? Didn't go according to plan, but remember, we're failing forward. Okay, what am I going to do differently next week? And that's how we
Yes.
make progress, day after day, week after week, month after month. And eventually you do what you've done and you achieve your dreams. So yeah, just a great process for people to follow.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. So many golden nuggets. I mean, I am, well, obviously taking notes profusely. I love your success journal, by the way. I've used it as well. So if you would share that, that would be amazing. And
With
then
pleasure.
just want to let people know where they can find you, where they can buy your book, so where would be the best place to go?
Thanks, Marley. So in South Africa, I know it's available on takealot.com. So you can get both the hard cover and the paperback on Take a Lot. The book's also available internationally on Amazon, in the UK, in WH Smith, Barnes and Noble in the US. So a number of the online retailers, Books a Million. You should be able to get it pretty much everywhere. And if people want to connect with me on LinkedIn or on my websites, johnroussot.com, or my book site, which is liberateyourgreatness.com, and then the corporate coaching and consulting business that I have, which is fitforgrowth.com, and that's FIIT, number 4, growth.com. They can find me there, and they'll have access to various assessments that I make available, and free content that I've created for people to tap into.
Beautiful, thank you. And I'll put all these links in the show notes anyway, so
Amazing.
people don't have to remember it. But yeah, just a
Sure.
huge thank you for joining me today and for helping me kick off 2024 on such a high note. Liberating your greatness. So passionate about that myself too. And, I always say to people, you have all the power inside you to make all your dreams come true, and
Mm,
I guess I guess it's about believing it and living into that. And so, yeah, definitely. I learned a lot today, and I'm really just so inspired by your work, and just massive well done on your book, and just keep going. There's a big old world out there, lots of people that need you, John.
Thank you, Marlies. Well, such a pleasure being on the podcast with you today. So thank you for hosting me and for a wonderful discussion. And I look forward to us connecting again soon.
Thank you for joining us today. If you love the conversation, hit the subscribe button. We have a powerhouse of guests lined up for 2024, so you don't want to miss even a minute. If you want to get in touch, you can email me at Marilise, Marilise, at Marilise Villiers, VILLIERS.com. So that's Marilise at Marilise-Villiers.com. In the meantime, live your purpose, stand in your power, and have courage to roar.